The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, what is the political outlook around the country showing? With a real representation of how many constituencies and voters feel, a few good men join me this evening to have a frank discussion. Also tonight, with immigration becoming the most trending topic today, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is beefing up its border protection. We talk about that. And the family of a Bahamian man shot and killed in Tennessee speaks out tonight. It's all straight ahead this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, the political season is not only heating up for candidates, but voters as well. Many are now paying attention as they get set to make up their minds on who they will vote for and the reasons they will support that individual or political organization. So tonight, we're looking at the political landscape and what it means depending on which part of the Bahamas you're in, and of course, what you feel needs to happen for that island community to go forward and progress. We are joined this evening by a few good men. As I said, joining me here in studio is MJ. It's good to have you here, MJ. BJ, pardon me, BJ Moss. Thank you so much for being here. I think we have in Michael, we have Henry Roll. We also are expecting in Grand Bahama, Lorenzo McKinsey. And from South and Central Eleuthera, Clement Thompson. I am hoping those gentlemen are either in the room joining us. Let me know who you are on the right that I'm looking at, please. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, and please, what's your name, please?
This is Lorenzo McKinsey.
Lorenzo, excellent. Good to have you here. Now, of course, we are still hoping to be able to have the others join in, as I said. But gentlemen, I want to begin by talking about just the basic question about the political landscape. We hear so many people talking about what's happening and how they feel, how certain islands look. You both are going to speak. Lorenzo, you are really focused in on Grand Bahama and what's happening there. In fact, you've appeared on this show, whether it's speaking on tourism-related matters, on the excitement of having Grand Bahama's economy and population experience growth again because people are returning home. So we're going to hear from you what's happening. And of course, here in studio, BJ, I think we will begin with you. You have worked steadily and for the longest while in the island and in the constituency of Michael. You have worked on the political scene to ensure that Michael moves forward. Can you tell me tonight and the country, what does the political landscape in Michael looks like right now in 2025?
Well, Shanique, Michael, those southern far-flung islands, and they have for the longest while been the forgotten islands. They have, for the most part, been an afterthought. Nothing significant, I should say, has happened, for the islands. The islands have, when you look at population, the population of the islands really have gone back.
So you say in the last 20 years, let's just say, Michael has regressed, and it was perhaps further along.
No, in terms of population, it has.
Population.
In terms of population.
But what about even infrastructure? Because we hear
infrastructure, it has improved. I will say that. Over the last 20 years, it has improved.
Every island in Michael, or just some islands? Now, I know, for example, Inagua, yes.
and over the last 20 years, I can tell you in Acklands, in the last 20 years, Acklands, the roads in Acklands, phenomenal, really good. Acklands has arguably the best mailboat dock of the Family Islands. So, no, so things have happened. If you see the settlement of Lovely Bay in Acklands, it'll blow your mind. I mean, sidewalks, seawalls, I mean, it is
I want you to look right there, right there. I keep pointing at that. That's your camera. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Then over the last 20 years in Mayaguana, while the airport, well, I don't even know if I want to call it that, because it's not an airport. It is really an embarrassment. But the runway, phenomenal.
Which airport?
In Mayaguana,
When this happened?
the runway in Mayaguana,
Yeah, when did it happen?
within the last 20 years, man.
Sir, now
2010.
listen, you said, I was referred to you because you tell the truth and nothing but the truth and the God's honest truth.
No,
I was there last year, and between the plane having to maneuver the grass on the runway and the rest of it, which
the runway in Mayaguana, if you look at and I'm not talking about what was on the side, that isn't, but Mayaguana has a very good runway.
it does potentially.
Very good.
Potentially.
No, not potentially.
It's not what I've seen.
Okay.
Not what I've seen.
Well, Shanique, we will have to agree to disagree on that one, because I'm telling you that when I'm trying to remember, and Mr. Miller may be able to help me with this, because I believe he may have been a part of the cabinet when the I group signed when they signed their heads of agreement, when that runway was really done. That.
Did you see a viral video last year that I did? And I didn't focus on the runway. I wish I did. But of the airport, which you admit the airport is, and thank God they are on the way to a new one,
Yes.
structure's being built. And I imagine the runway will be repaved and resurfaced and to match what's being done. But let's just go to Grand Bahama for a moment before we kind of start dissecting this discussion. Lorenzo McKinsey, are you there?
I'm right here.
Yes, hi. Lorenzo, can you tell us about how does the political landscape look in Grand Bahama?
Well, today was a shocking day for me. I was up and about. And persons that I know, they said, man, I'm going for neither FNM nor PLP. I'm going with the COI. I said, what with COI? I said, yeah, man, I'm tired of the flip-flop. It's the same system, just different players in the game. And so then I had persons who I had PLPs tell me, well, they vote in PLP because that's who they are. But then on the other side, I had persons telling me, boy, I'm voting for neither or. I'm not going to vote. So I asked questions about Central Grand Bahama. They said, well, one of the persons who live in those areas said a lot of the people who didn't vote last time is going to vote this time to make a statement. So I said, what you mean by statement? He said, y'all will see. I said, whoa. And so right now in Grand Bahama, the number one question in Grand Bahama with the election coming up is the stability of Grand Bahama. Yeah, we have tourists coming, carnival, brought back jobs and stuff like that. But the thing about it is the business people are feeling it the most in Grand Bahama. And so they are undecided. They're looking for a better way. But then I also get reports saying if the government does what it's supposed to do, they will win the next general election. Even have husband and wives who are on opposite side telling the husband, hey, honey, boy, it ain't looking good for y'all. And that's what they have for them side. So he said, because there's too much in-house fighting. So it's up in the air with undecided people. And you have a lot of undecided voters coming out who's going to vote in this general election.
Lorenzo, you were saying, can you hear me very well?
I can hear you.
Good.
Go right ahead.
Very good. You are saying in Grand Bahama, everything is up in the air. That people have not yet made up their minds where they're going. And in fact, some people you met today said that they are looking at the COI. This is what you were saying.
Yes. And I was shocked because I know these people are diehard PLPs. But you know, people are tight. Grand Bahama is in a different state. Grand Bahama is not like the outer islands, not like Nassau. We've been in a bad position for too many years. And we've heard the same story over and over again. We're going to do better for Grand Bahama. And we get the same results, nothing being done better. I got a call from a couple of days ago about the hotel, and I was shocked about that. You know, is the deal at the hotel for real? You've been to the heads of agreements. We saw you on TV. Is it real? I say, from what the conversation I had, it was real. So, but then they tell me what's going on there too. Say, hey, man, you can't even book no more for the Grand Lokai, and it seems like they might shut us down completely. What about the casual workers? What about the management and staff? They don't know nothing about what's going on. So, in Grand Bahama alone, the hotel deal is a big deal for the Grand Bahamians, hotel and airport. See, all the other islands is being touched and getting done. The government been working for a year and a half, and they just headlong in the work mode to win the election, and that's understandable. But Grand Bahama is up in the air because we're watching the economy, we're watching the deal with the hotel, we're watching the airport, watching everything.
What is the big issue with the hotel? Because we all saw the heads of agreement. It was a live event. We saw what took place, and Grand Bahama was celebrating. In fact, you appeared with a number of others on this show, and you all were very happy. Now it appears Grand Bahamians are on the fence with the hotel. What's happening?
Because the workers called me, who I know, said, because when they called and asked me rents. We know you've been on TV, and you say it's a good deal. But boy, from what we feel under pressure. He said, we turn down jobs just to stick with the hotel to see where we go from there. But it seems like we're in the dark. Not even a family, because right now, so people are afraid for their jobs. People are afraid for the future of their.
Well, they do it, and I'm not. And Lorenzo, I'm not the speaker. I'm not a member of parliament that I can even speak in Grand Bahama to speak of what's happening. I just can say you can imagine that the hotel would need to be shut down for the work to begin and to be done. I imagine it's a safety hazard to have it any other way. But you were saying the people of Grand Bahama are saying at least talk to them and clue them in. This is obviously, it sounds like what you were saying.
Right. But also, I was told shut down and everything. So if you're not taking any bookings, that goes to.
Now I'm going to go back to Michael, and it's unfortunate that we don't have the others joining us, because we really had a wonderful group. We'll obviously try to repeat this. Stay where you are, Lorenzo. Stay. You are going in and out. So if you could find a better spot, that would be great. But BJ, back with you here on the desk with me. Michael, you heard Lorenzo talk about. He pinpointed some areas that are of concern for the residents of Grand Bahama, regardless of where they live, whichever constituency. Justin, if somebody has just entered, please see if that's Clement Thompson, and we can bring him into this discussion as well, or the other gentleman. But BJ, let's just talk about Michael, and what are some of the concerns there that must be addressed, that have been outstanding for the longest while. You painted such a glorious picture a moment ago, as though Michael is the best constituency in the nation, and I'm hearing different things that must be addressed. And so, are there things in Michael that have been outstanding and continue to be outstanding?
There are many things in Michael that have been outstanding and still outstanding. But see, Shanique, one of the things that I do, and you said it correctly, I speak truth. Fact is, we spoke about the decline in the population, but then I'm not gonna know that, hey, look here, this was done and it is good, and I'm gonna just complain and talk about it. It didn't happen. No, I am not a revisionist historian. Now, in Maikal, every single one of the islands of Maikal is, I mean, they are long overdue for upgraded health facilities. The medical facility is there. They, Crooked Island, for the longest while, have been clamoring and crying for, well, both Crooked Island and the Mayor Guana for a proper dock, mailboat dock. Crooked Island has also been crying for the airstrip, the runway to be extended so that they could accommodate a large, because I think Bahamas is 50 seaters, but the biggest thing that could go there. You can't get any. They have been in the north of Auckland. They have cried for proper potable water, but when I listened to the budget communication just a few weeks ago, I realized that is being addressed. As a matter of fact, the platform for the reverse osmosis, some I understand, they're just waiting on the contractor to complete that. The reverse osmosis is already in Nassau, ready to go down. So you have those kinds of issues, and then there on those islands, with the exception of Amene Nagua again, no economy, zero economy.
And how is that? See, this is what I'm saying. While you said, and I'm not trying to cause you to make something appear worse than it is, but now you're getting to the crux of it, of what people have been saying for years. They ain't just start saying it. So it's you don't point fingers anywhere. The point is they've been saying for years, there is as you said, nothing happening on these islands, no vision or visionary in terms of maybe an elected official to help bring it there. And so really what's happening on what is the mainstay? Still fishing and farming as the main economies?
And that,
or industries rather?
And that is subsistence. You know, in the southern Bahamas, I don't know, not one of the islands you can say is a serious fishing island. Now, you have the community of Salina Point in Auckland. You have serious fishermen down there. But otherwise, the guys are subsistence fishermen. They fish every now and then, every so often. Farming, same way, you know. And truth to tell, farming is not the way it was back in the day. It's no longer cut, slash, and burn.
No.
You know, it has evolved,
Yes.
you know, so it's not that. But because there is no economy, it translates into population
decline, of course.
Yes.
And I know a part of what you want to see happen are those who are natives and who have family ties and origins in anywhere in Maikal return to help repopulate the islands and also to help the economies there flourish. We are now going to go to Central and South Eleuthera and we're going to be joined by Clement Thompson. Hello to you, Clement. Welcome to Be on the Headlines. It's good to have you here. And I know it's difficult sometimes getting in, but I'm happy that you persisted and that now you're in. Good evening to you. Good evening, Clement. I think you are muted. I think you may be muted. Okay, listen, we always have issues with these, you there? With the technical things. So we hope to hear from him. Yes, good evening to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Shanique. I'm doing great.
Good, good. I see you're sweating a lot, but let's just keep it moving. What would you say is the current political outlook in Eleuthera and in particular Central and South Eleuthera?
Well, Shanique, you know, for us in Eleuthera, in particular South Eleuthera, things are at its best for a numerous amount of years now. You know, we've been on the we've been on the down low and on the back burner of many governments, but now, you know, by the grace of God, we're climbing out of that hole. You know, things are looking great, Shanique, on this side. And for us, take for example, if you were to look for an apartment right now today in Saudi Lutra, Shanique, you'd have a hard time finding an apartment. It's not been that way for many years, 20 years or more. You know, so things are looking pretty good for us in this area. We do not feel the pinch of the other areas in the Bahamas, and as a matter of fact, I think South Eleuthera is the fastest growing economy in the Bahamas today.
South Eleuthera or Eleuthera?
South Eleuthera in particular.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty amazing. Listen, we are going to take our first break this evening. Gentlemen, just get yourselves refreshed as we take this break, because we're going to come back and hear a little bit more about what the people need to see. What is it that they want to see? What do men in particular want to see as we head into the 2026 general election? This is Beyond the Headlines. We are going to take a first break and come back with more right after this.
Grand Bahama Tiles is celebrating independence with a 25% off store-wide sale. On July 8th and July 9th, enjoy store-wide savings with some items up to 60% off. And the first 10 customers get an additional $52 off their entire purchase. Let's celebrate independence with great savings. Call them at 352-7920.
Welcome to Blissful Escapes, where luxury meets affordability. Whether you're seeking relief from aches and pains or simply looking to indulge in some well-deserved pampering, relax and detox in our infrared sauna. Enjoy a soothing Swedish massage or an invigorating exfoliating body scrub. We also provide advanced facial treatments using cutting-edge technology, including hydrofacial, microneedling, and microcurrent therapies, located at the shops of Cable Beach Plaza.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
Win a brand new 2026 GAC MPOW every week for 5 weeks. Every 10 reward points earns you 1 digital entry. The more entries you gain, the better your chances to win. 5 weeks, 5 cars. Will you be one of our lucky winners? Catch the keys today, only at Island Luck. Island Luck reminds you that it's only a game, so game responsibly.
For the first time ever, Sebastian sits down. No filters, just straight answers. From the gaming industry to his growing influence, from wealth to whispers about politics, nothing is off the table. You've heard the stories, now hear his side. Sebastian, one-on-one, Beyond the Headlines, Tuesday at 8.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines on this Monday evening. Of course, you know, we are headed into the independence celebrations, 52 years of independence. And so this evening we're speaking to men who often say, listen, sometimes our voices are a little too quiet in the back. They don't listen to what we have to say, or they don't give us an opportunity to speak out. And so this evening we're asking men, particularly as we look next general election in the eye, what is the political outlook in their area as they see it, where they are. I am joined this evening by right here next to me, BJ Moss, who is really giving a candid look at MyCal. I am also joined from Central and South Eleuthera, Clement Thompson, who is joining us via Zoom, and Lorenzo McKinsey joining us from Grand Bahama via Zoom as well. Welcome back, gentlemen. It's good to have you all here. I hope you're still there because I know how sometimes technical issues can happen. There they are. In fact, you know what, BJ, let me go to the guys on Zoom first before they may have, just whatever. So, Lorenzo, you kind of gave us an idea of what the public sentiment is, that Grand Bahama is all over the, it's Grand Bahama is really sort of on edge because they are saying, one, talk to us, keep us abreast of what's going on and clue us in. But they're also saying, depending on how things shape up and how things look, is where and how they're voting. Before we come back to you, Clement, I want to ask you then, what is the public sentiment in Eleuthera, and in particular, Central and South Eleuthera, as it relates to how citizens feel about maybe current representation, government leadership, that kind of thing?
Well, Shanique, here in Eleuthera, despite the noise in the market, the settlements on for the PLP is running high. Because there's a good reason for that. The Honorable Clay Sweeting has been doing a lot here. He's been doing great, despite what anyone else says, and I can attest to that. So therefore, spirits. There are some people that are disgruntled. Yeah, you'd always have that, But for the most part of it, the PLP is looking good in this area. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, we know that there's been a whole lot of activity there with a new, the opposition, for example, appointing its candidate. And so we'll talk about that, obviously, as the season progresses. But I asked you that. And so even though, Lorenzo, you gave an overview of public sentiment, maybe if you can talk about, if you can, just a few constituencies of the 5 that Grand Bahama has, what does public sentiment look in those constituencies that you would highlight?
Well, in the areas like in Pine Ridge, is going to be Pine is coming up to run, so it's going to be a battle. To me, this election, through the matter, is going to be one for money, the vision, and the economy. That's about 93 what the people feel it in the
Justin, because Lorenzo's connection is a bit off. He said certainly one of the issues is going to be the economy. He said something else that I didn't quite get. Lorenzo, if you can repeat that again, maybe if I can hear it and tell the Bahamian people. But certainly the economy of Grand Bahama is going to be one of the deciding factors.
The economy is going to be one of the deciding factors. The whole thing is going to be one of the deciding factors. It's being up on time.
I think he's talking about the hotel as well, the Grand Lucaya. We spoke earlier today, as I spoke with all the gentlemen, just to get them to sort of put feelers out there and do their own investigation, some of them from last week, so that they can be prepared for a discussion this evening. Lorenzo was one of them, and so he says that, listen, from the time I gave him the assignment, the hotel just keeps coming up. Their whole focus is, what is the deal with the hotel? What is the timeline? Are they going to be totally jobless with in terms of the Grand Lucaya closing? And we know what the plans are that were shared during the heads of agreement there. But the people are saying, listen, they're now questioning that because there's been silence. They want to hear more. They want to hear more frequently. And so this is what he said. Unfortunately, his connection doesn't allow for him to speak those words. But I'll ask you, BJ, next to me right here, as we kind of wrap up this segment. What's the public sentiment in Michael? And I know there are 5 islands there, but what's the public sentiment?
There is some voter apathy in the islands, and it is in large part because nothing has been happening for them there. But there is a ray of hope out there. A heads of agreement between the government of the Bahamas and BASVAC, the group that Mr. Robert Depuch-Karen is heading, a $427 million heads of agreement
Where?
project. It's going to be happening in well, it'll be headquartered. The southern headquarters will be Mayaguana, but it will cover Michael. And it's going to really deal with the Bahamas, but Michael in particular.
I want to ask you this as we go to a break, and I will listen to me. There's going to be part 2 to this discussion, and when it comes, I want y'all to just go quick, just right straight to the point with stuff. I saw last Saturday, I think it was, he had a meeting in Mayaguana in particular, and he has an interest in running on the PLP's ticket in 2026. What is the what's the mood towards him like in Michael?
Well, if you saw the video of him, you saw the reception he got in Mayaguana. He got pretty much the same reception in Nagua. He has not really in an official capacity been in Crooked Island and Auckland yet. Will be happening soon, because today, as we speak, he is in Abu Dhabi right now, where he is securing aviation-rated ambulances for Auckland, Crooked Island, Mayaguana, and Inagua.
Robert Karen is doing this.
He's doing this right now as we speak. They will be here for Christmas. They'll be here for Christmas.
Well,
that is starting to address the medical and health issues that exist on those islands.
Well, I'll tell you this, BJ, thank you so much for being here. And again, I will have a part 2 to this discussion. And I hope the men may give y'all an opportunity. Y'all gonna have to show up strong. But it's good to still hear them speak and hear from them what's happening and what's the mood like where they are. We certainly want to hear a lot more. And I'll tell you, Lorenzo, if you are part of part 2, please go somewhere where the Wi-Fi is strong. That's all I'm saying. But listen, I thank you very much, BJ Moss. Of course, Clement Thompson in Central and South Eleuthera, Lorenzo McKinsey in Grand Bahama. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you all very much for just speaking your truth and also calling it as you see it in terms of the political outlook. We're going to certainly revisit this again. This is Beyond the Headlines. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, unfortunate news about that 26-year-old Bahamian man in Tennessee. So unfortunate. That and much more after the break.
Grand Bahama Tiles is celebrating independence with a 25% off store-wide sale. On July 8th and July 9th, enjoy store-wide savings with some items up to 60% off. And the first 10 customers get an additional $52 off their entire purchase. Let's celebrate independence with great savings. Call them 352-7920.
After I was in a plane crash in June 1983, I lost my left arm. I had some good friends, came along, fishing guides. They said, man, we can teach you to fly fish. Exuma. Can you see? Look at it, man. One of the nicest places you want to be in the world. There were challenges learning to cast, learning to put a fly on a leader, learning to tie the different knots for me as a handicapped individual. As a matter of fact, I don't really feel handicapped because I could do everything, man. Anything anybody could do, I think I could do it too. Because with your mindset to do anything, no matter what you are, what you look like, what's happening to you, you can do it. Persons in our positions, it's hard to get fundings and very, very expensive. SBDC would be helpful in regards to help funding people with disabilities. So nothing is impossible if you're disabled, any kind of disability. Put faith in God and trust God. Believe you will overcome.
Bahamas. Come celebrate our 52nd independence at the Family Fun Day, July 10th at Clifford Park. It's a great afternoon of food, fun, culture, entertainment, national pride. Gates open at 4 p.m., concert time 6 p.m. 52nd Independence Family Fun Day at Clifford Park. Bring the whole family. Admissions free. Happy Independence, Bahamas.
See, I'm proud to be a Bahamian. Proud to be a Bahamian.
For the first time ever, Sebastian sits down. No filters, just straight answers. From the gaming industry to his growing influence, from wealth to whispers about politics, nothing is off the table. You've heard the stories, now hear his side. Sebastian, one-on-one, Beyond the Headlines, Tuesday at 8.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Of course, you saw at the top of tonight's show, I spoke with men on the political outlook as everyone's interested in it. And I had them speak from different areas in the country. And you heard what those thoughts and sentiments and opinions were, just coming from where these men were and the area in which they were speaking about. Of course, I hope to continue doing that from time to time, and even maybe revisit this with those individual men as well, just to hear more about what's happening in their areas, what's lacking, what's needed, what's been ignored, what's not been addressed as we move forward to the next general election. And so it's really awesome, a wonderful pleasure to have facilitated that discussion. We're going to move forward now to more. I'm going to welcome to Beyond the Headlines, my contributors, Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquest. Gentlemen, before I move on to this unfortunate story that unfolded in Tennessee over the weekend, I just want you both quickly, perhaps just to give thoughts on what the first part of the show was and the discussion coming from Michael and Grand Bahama and South and Central Eleuthera.
You know, Shanique, I think the main thing, you heard about the Grand Bahama. I think communication is key, in terms of advising and letting people know exactly what's coming, what they can expect, timelines, things of that sort. You can't expect businessmen and citizens who have suffered for so long to just go and continue to say, hey, it's coming, let me start spending my money, investing in businesses. You have some people that will do that, but some people are just, they've been let down so many times, they're not going to continue just to go invest funds, and then all of a sudden, 2 years from now, they're still sitting there waiting on their hands in terms of, we're still waiting on the people to come.
You're right, do a better job at communicating with the people.
Yeah, so, we could sign heads agreements all day, but at the end of the day, it's what's in those heads of agreements that tells the tale in terms of when is this going to come to fruition? Do we have the money to do what we say we're going to do? It's so much, I guess, spaces that we just can't guess. You have to know. You have to actually communicate it. This is what's happening, or how whoever the developer has communicated to the people.
Yes,
make it happen.
No, but and then another thing, you heard what the gentleman said. Listen, the people, and you're right. The people, listen. Every and anybody just wants to be spoken to.
Yeah, I mean,
keep them informed.
Shani, let's look at Eleuthera. Eleuthera, the government didn't do nothing to tackling Eleuthera. So you have a lot of foreigners and businessmen of Eleuthera that made this happen. Now the infrastructure needs to catch up. That's what you have to realize about Eleuthera. From north straight to south, Eleuthera has been booming for some time. Now the infrastructure is behind. The airports are behind. The roads are starting to get caught up. The bridges have to be caught up. There's a lot of infrastructure that has to go in place. When you have infrastructure that's in place, trust me, the business will follow. But you had Eleuthera did it backwards. Harbor Island's always been booming. But you have other places that's just saying, hey, you have hotels from the north straight go down to the south that's been building. You have foreigners been coming in and building lavish hotels, lavish estates. Now the infrastructure needs to get caught up. Last year we've been complaining about water, complaining about roads, complaining about electricity. It still has to be caught up on. And now, but they've been booming for some time.
I think all of those farm yards, especially Eleuthera, needs an objection of infrastructure, good, reliable infrastructure. There's been a lot of complaints lately, as you know, on most of the farm islands, but especially Eleuthera. And it's unfair to those people that they're paying like electricity bill just like us. I mean, last night, for example, lights went out from about 10 o'clock, Harold Road, straight up to Sea Breeze. Lights was out on both sides of the street, north and south. I didn't know what happened, but it was a hell of a thing. Last night was very, very hot. And I have heard nothing from anyone concerning what took place. Communications, as you said, Mike, needs to be.
I think they had something in tonight's news.
They had something? Because I didn't see anything in the newspapers this morning.
From the CEO in tonight's news.
With regard to Grand Bahama, I couldn't agree with you more. They've been suffering for so long now. I just wish this whole thing could get over with, that the people who are proposing to...
See, because when they are not spoken to, Leslie and Michael, they will then begin to make up their own stories. And that's what people do when they don't hear from the official voice.
The reality is, in Grand Bahama especially, we've signed more heads of agreements and brought so many people to the table in terms of the sale of this hotel.
People really who have no financial backing to get anything done.
And that's the issue. That's what we continue. We continue to entertain people who give us the runaround, and then you get, it isn't business as usual for Grand Bahamians. At the end of the day, they've been suffering.
Very skeptical.
Exactly, and they have reason to be. So you should communicate every day. We have timelines, or we're behind time, whatever it may be.
They should get it done. They should get updates. They should get updates, and if the hotel has to close, because that's a major concern that this gentleman told me about last week, that he was preparing for this week's interview and discussion, is that, listen, people are nervous because they were told the hotel is going to close. And I'm like, listen, but the hotel, I would think, has to close for the work to be done, but they need to hear this officially, not sipping through the grapevine. That's what the issue is with them. Listen, a local family is in mourning tonight after their loved one was gunned down in Tennessee over the weekend. His murder is believed to be linked to a rent dispute. We get the story from Linton Ritchie Jr., who spoke with the man's family today.
Just 1 month after rededicating his life to Christ, 26-year-old Dante Mateo Janor was reportedly gunned down in Nashville, Tennessee. The news for his siblings beyond their wildest dreams.
In our heart for my brother. We never go a day without mentioning Dante. Get to know us, kill my brother. They take a piece of my life.
According to international reports, the shooting occurred on Saturday in broad daylight at Preakness Apartments, the tragic result of a reported rent dispute. His sister, Shaniqua Janor, says the suspect in question was her brother's roommate.
Not him or the rent. He went to a tenant trying to find out why he didn't pay his rent. Because his girlfriend people own the place. No, but they making it sound like my brother owe money, no.
Nearly 3 years ago, the Bahamian man left his job at the Riu Hotel and moved to the U.S. for a better way of life. He began working in Tennessee, joining the hospitality industry at a hotel. His sibling says that's exactly who he was, a man on the move and seeking better.
Always be on the job, and that's what he was based on. Dante was so sweet. He's a man with responsibility too. I didn't the family to know that he get killed
by the firearm for what reason? It don't make sense.
The family now grief-stricken as their aunt died last week, and remembering her was the final moments they shared with their brother, who too is now a memory.
He's on a video call and all that's just on the phone crying, not knowing that was his last cry. And then get a sudden text message that my brother died. What a funny way to find out.
And these are the strong words coming from Jessica Janor, Dante's sister, whom they say he shared a special bond with.
You eat me up inside. He couldn't kill a fly, all hurt us. We need justice for our brother, please.
Gentlemen, it's so unfortunate to see that, their brother, their loved one in the United States working and making a living, and a rent dispute. His roommate allegedly not meeting his part of their responsibility and resulting in his demise.
Shanique, it's unfortunate. My condolences goes out to the family and such a tragic loss. I always, I told people, the U.S. is not a place for me. We know guns run about rampant here in the Bahamas, but in the U.S. you can it's almost like walking into a grocery store and picking it up and putting it in your push and cashing
buying
out.
alcohol from the Chinese.
Yeah, So I'm not a fan. I told for me vacationing now is trying to find someplace else other than the U.S. because it's just with everything that's going on in the world today, it's just not it feels like an unsafe place to be. And it's unfortunate that one of our own who went to the U.S. seeking a better way to life had to be gunned down, looking for his half of the rent to be paid, or his roommate's half of the rent to be met in such a fashion. It's unfortunate.
No, our deepest sympathy goes into the bereaved family. So sad that a young man trying to do better in life, working in the hotel industry here, decided he can get a better break in the States, went to Tennessee. But he also had a gun in his hand, he said. So I don't know, but it's the truth, both persons had a gun. And maybe the American fired first and killed him. So sad,
It is quite unfortunate. Gentlemen, immigration is going to be a real, in fact, not going to be, it is. It's always
going to be, it is.
However, though, it's now sort of one of the hot button issues in this general election or election cycle. And so the good news is the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is stepping up its efforts in the fight against illegal immigration. Here's what they're doing. We get this story from Delana Roca.
Commodore Floyd Moxey says the RBDF is now on heightened alert, expanding its strategy to defend against what some could describe as increased pressures on our borders.
We're watching the push and pull situation in Haiti, the gang violence. So we acquired 4 safe boats within the last 4 months. One of them will be operating out of Abaco. We sent one to Grand Bahama, one to Machutong in Nago, and one to Garden Point.
But while the RBDF sharpens its physical response, the Commodore says the digital front is evolving just as rapidly.
We discovered that there was a Haitian landing in the Turks and Caicos Island, and they're using motorized boat as opposed to the traditional sailing vessel that we would have seen in the 2000s, the 90s, and the 80s. And we are watching that because you would recall that just 2 weeks ago, we intercepted a motorized vessel coming out of Haiti with about 50 or 60 migrants.
And under the new Commodore's initiatives to protect our borders, a new flagship is said to be underway.
In the final phase of doing a draft proposal for a 62-meter ship that will become the flagship of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. That is an offshore patrol craft, and that will assist us greatly in defending the territorial waters of the Bahamas.
And as hurricane season unfolds, the Defense Force is preparing to juggle dual responsibilities: rapid border response and natural disaster readiness.
We have our disaster and recovery ship, the Lawrence Major, that we're ensuring that ship is ready to respond to disaster any place in this country or basically in the region. We have the container city that is tested, that is ready to go in the event that there's an unfortunate hurricane any place in this country.
A delicate balancing act as the nation watches its borders and the RBDF moves to stay one step ahead. Delana Roker, Eyewitness News.
Well, gentlemen, certainly, of course, that sounds good to hear, that the Defense Force is beefing up its Border Patrol. We know what's happening in the southern corridor and what they're doing there. In fact, last year when I told BJ about going to Mayaguana's airport, that was a part of my assignment that I went on with them on the sea when they apprehended almost over 300 Haitians. But your thoughts about that? I mean, I understand even during watching the story, Leslie, you were saying, listen, man, beef up the airport as well while you're beefing up.
But what you all are forgetting, President Trump said last week, Wednesday, he wants to report 500,000 Haitians in the next 30 to 60 days. He don't care if they got pieces. The ones that came from the hurricane, remember?
Yeah,
he want all of them gone.
Mm-hmm.
But where the hell do you think they're coming?
Where
You
they
think
coming?
they're heading back there?
Where they going?
Most of them coming right here. That's where they coming. They head to the Bahamas. Because you'd be surprised some of them probably got our passport, fake passport on them. Or some little paper say, I'm from Carmichael Road. Listen, this is a serious storm coming upon us, you know.
And imagine, these are ones that with records, because it's criminals that he is mainly targeting right now and sending over. So imagine what that looks like.
I spent the last couple of weeks out Carmichael Road campaigning.
I heard.
And I am really, really shocked. I urge the government again on behalf of the Bahamian people, please do not go any further with issuing citizenships to the people from Haiti. The Bahamas need a break. We have done our job over the last 100 years. You can get status without getting Bahamian citizenship, man.
Yep.
At least slow it down for the next 5 years. Put a moratorium on. There will be no citizenship granted until we assess the situation in our country, because we got to see what future we're going to cut out for our Bahamians and those yet unborn.
Yep.
That's what scares hell of me as a father, as a grandfather. We have to reassess this. We cannot continue. Every day you look at the newspapers, it's full. Jack, Joe, I mean, it got to stop.
You know,
because let me tell you, Bahamians are angry.
Yes.
I was shocked when I went there for the last, angry to Mr. Miller.
You know, right before I came on the show tonight, I watched a podcast talking about our immigration and work permits in terms of what's been issued between 2023, 2024. In 2023, we would have issued some little over 12,000 work permits, right?
Which is, yeah.
In 2024, 14,000 plus. You know, you ask...
That's in addition to 12 before.
Yes, and then they asked the question, said, you know, what major developments do we have currently going on in this little Bahamas that
Bahamas
we require
that's
so much...
on.
And you know, realize when you give a work
Finish
permit...
that thought. They require so much what?
It requires so much illegal immigrants or work permits to be issued. I mean, where are all these, you know, and you put
So
this
what is
14...
it? Because we know now that construction sites look different.
But I'll tell you...
Oh, man, construction sites
are not
look
largely
different.
foreigners.
Largely,
maybe
you can't go anywhere. I can any private development, all these gated communities. You go in, and every construction worker you find on that job, and anyone dealing with
7
concrete
out of
thing,
10.
I would say 8 out of 10.
Foreigners.
Because at one point I've been on in a particular development in the east, and I walk around this sometimes on any given day, and I don't hear one piece of English on any of these construction sites.
We are in serious trouble. The government really needs to assess it,
I tell you,
reassess.
I like to look at...
But he isn't even speaking about Haitians.
Yeah, but I like to look, when I look at immigration, I want to look at it holistically. I want to look at it from just not only the Haitians, you know, we have,
Jamaicans.
I'm happy to see the RBDF in the harbor and things taking care of their business in terms of dealing with these illegal cruise yachts and from anywhere, dealing with everybody. But at the end of the day, we got to look at it. Yes, they are our biggest issue. But we have some other ones out there that are also taking advantage of us.
They are like the Chinese who now name roll. When you say
they say I like pick on the Chinese.
They don't even have
they say I like pick on the Chinese. So I ain't go but
they're the only people who can sell liquor.
Chinese now
no
have last name Roll and Davis and Brown.
When last, I've never seen, to this day, I saw, it's a restaurant and wholesale bar. I never saw those two went together in my life.
Only for them.
A restaurant and wholesale bar. Tell me, what type of license is that?
Mike, I've been trying to find out for the last 3 years. How the hell these people get this license? And you call everybody, and nobody knows.
And today it clicked to me. I said, that's what I'm doing wrong. I need a wholesale bar. Let's realize what is a wholesale bar.
What is it?
That's where you sell everything that comes out of your place, comes by the cases.
If we don't solve this problem...
Exactly. But it's a rest. And I find that I said, okay, now I get it. That's how this
If
happens.
we don't arrest this problem now, within 30 years, our grandchildren could suffer like hell for this.
Well,
you know.
they are further
We can suffer.
intoxicating and numbing the minds of Bahamians,
Okay.
particularly in certain communities that are more vulnerable.
I'm telling you,
and this is what's going on.
out in the southwest area of New Providence, in dire straits. Dire straits. You know what's happening now? We went to an area on Saturday. You know the areas out there where they moved the Haitians out?
Yes.
The Bahamians are now building in there. And
Thank
people
God.
go in there because the guy asks us, you go from daughter, Mr. Miller, y'all got to get rid of that. And Warren Miller says, they're not Haitians. They're all Bahamians. I'm not talking about not Haitian heritage. Bahamians now decided, you know what the decided to do? If the government could allow them to build for the last 50 damn years,
Why can't
with nobody fool with them, why I can't go build a house for my children? And I don't blame them.
Oh, so
I with you 1,000%.
So you were saying Bahamians are now
Yes,
just
go and take the land.
commandeering
Yes.
land.
Go and do
say,
it.
I dare you to move.
Yes.
You know what has happened for the past 50 years?
Go and do it.
Whenever an indigenous Bahamian went and built on a land
Yes.
that's so-called as not
Yes.
theirs, as quick as
Huh?
you blink your
Six.
eye, Ministry
Go
of
on.
Works on top of you,
Exactly.
that house is gone.
So where Ministry of Works is now? That Bahamians
Sitting on the
are
ass like they always do.
What
Who
they
do you
doing?
think they are?
What are they doing? That's
What
not,
think
stop
they
it.
are?
Stop.
Sitting on the ass.
They're not. Stop it. Okay, Leslie.
Who
you
they
are.
are?
Leslie,
Yeah, you think they are? Very
What are
good.
you- what are you waiting
you
for,
are
Tiffany?
flipping. So Leslie, why didn't you go to those Bahamians and say, listen, y'all are squatting?
Y'all are who?
Squatting.
That's our land. Go and give us our land. How the hell can we squat on their own land? You figure it.
No, they flipping squatting though.
Huh?
And they
They ain't no
teach the land.
squatting. They have a right to be there. They have a right to be there. We haven't stopped the guys
Many
in
of them
50
are
years.
stealing land that belong to other
They
people.
have every right to be there. Every right.
I have no problem with people going through the legal process or
The
whatever
legal
it may be,
process,
squatting, whatever it
whoever
may
they
be.
are. The
I don't
legal
care how you
process.
get it. But if you go through the legal process in the court, say, okay, this
Okay.
is now given to you. But it's a problem when you have an illegal immigrant. I don't care
Bahamians
where you're
frustrated,
from.
you know.
You go and you
Believe
go
me, the
build on
frustration
whatever
level of
land.
Bahamians now, they can't
And you
take
get
much
the
more.
hell to pollute.
They're
Your
right there.
Bahamians taking, you see your Bahamians taking police to where illegal immigrants are and get hell to get them out of their
Huh?
place.
Stay right there.
Man,
I'm afraid for those young Bahamians, those people who can't afford better homes, who just want a decent living for their children. They have a right to go and get that land. The damn Haitians had it for 50 years. Nobody moved them. Mr. Roker, God bless him, warned us from 50, 60 years ago. So let us say, if you don't love your country, they can take it from you. And that's exactly what is happening.
You don't belong. You don't belong to have it.
You, Michael, going back to contractors having to bring in foreigners to work. These Bahamians won't work on. They really won't work on any construction site.
That's a serious problem.
They won't work.
But they
Or
don't,
they sit down on their phone.
don't have the training ability to make a contribution on the job.
Well, who do you blame?
Seven out of 10
I tell
make
people,
it.
and if you want to, you go anywhere. You go
We
in
still
any
need that trade school.
in
I bet
any
that- yeah, go
in
ahead,
any
Mike.
in
Go ahead.
any construction site. You have a Haitian who'll come in. He know nothing about masonry one day.
And one
nothing
the
one day.
next day, you know
but
it
the
though.
next day, but he going on another job and he'll tell you he's a mason.
But what is
and they doing
amazing
the
though?
work.
No, what is amazing? The first thing they do when I was out there on the weekend, every Haitian you see got a level in his hand. Because the first thing you're taught in the trade, you gotta have a level.
Now one thing, some of them can tell you they get that level in their hand, but they still
look like a damn snake. Don't let them be water unless you're there.
They tell,
But you know,
your walk wasn't go this way, and he had it this way.
I want to congratulate
A tool?
A level is something you make sure your blocks are.
I'm the Minister of Education. I went up to the school. She invited me there on Friday, the school on Wolf Road by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You have to see that. Got a $30 million structure. Hell of a place. And it's really built for kids in grade 10 to go to those schools in 3 days a week, I think, or 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday.
What are they doing?
To be trained in these areas that are so vital. But I
The
say
areas,
again
the
to her,
areas you're talking about?
yeah, with the greatest respect, we
Okay.
still need that school out there on the sports center for people who are out of school. That's
But
where the problem is.
yeah, but you have a lot of
Has
kids.
to be done, madam.
A lot of kids starting from 10th grade. They
Yeah.
know exactly what they want to do. We
Yeah.
have some talented kids
Yes.
sitting in our government schools, our private schools.
Yeah.
They're not into the math and whatever.
No.
They know some want to be pilots.
But we also gotta
and
look
some
at
make the
those who are
best
out of
pilots
school,
in the
Mike.
world. Yes, I agree.
Thousands of them out of school.
Can I say this though?
No, sir, you
Thousands.
can't. Sir, you cannot talk. You're not on air. What the dickens? Jesus, Lord. Somebody.
Take me on the road.
Justin, Bruce. Where is something to drink? Somebody somewhere. Come, seriously. Listen, you can't make this up.
Oh, sorry.
You think you're on Steve's show?
I tell you how to drink and sing it over. Can I say something? Sir, you can't put your finger on your mouth. Listen to me. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I thank the gentleman at the top of tonight's show who joined me. And of course, you heard one of them just now. Oh, you're waiting. I thank you, sir. BJ Moss, thank you so much. And of course, Clement Thompson and Lorenzo McKinsey. Of course, in this segment, Leslie Miller and Michael Turnquest, thank you as well. And I want to thank all of you. Listen, it's Independence, man. Shoot, that's not fun. Thank you all so much for tuning in this evening. I absolutely enjoyed having you here. And listen, tomorrow evening, you don't want to miss it. You want to join me, because you all have seen the promo out there. I sit down for a one-on-one with Sebastian. That's all I'm saying.
He running?
Leslie, you're going to have to tune in. That's what I can't.
But he told me he's going on vacation for a month. And when he come back, he can be ready.
For what?
That's what he told me.
What
Friday.
he be ready for?
He can be ready. I said, he can be ready for what? He said, I can be ready for it. When I come back, I can make up my mind.
He tell you a lot.
So have a safe trip.
He can be ready or he can make up his mind. Which one?
He had for a month vacation.
Well, I'll tell you this, to hear more of what he has to say, Sebastian, tune in, join me right here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a blessed night, everyone.